Well, good morning all. On this lovely sunny day in Morialta National Park. It's not really sunny at all, it's dark, it's gloomy. The weatherman says 100% chance of rain. And I think he may be right, because there's already been plenty of that. I'm not talking about little rain, you know, a little sprinkle. No, big droplets of rain. You know, the ones that soak you down to the core kind of thing? That's what we're talking about. Cats and dogs. Well, I think we might get a little bit more of that in the hours to come. And some may say it's not the best day for a hike, but I say stuff them. It's good to get out and do something. Far too much time for sitting around, so get out and do a bit of hiking. Try and stay dry as we look around the park. I think we got Buckleys, to be honest, but here's to giving it a red hot go. Well, the rain's here. It's not really bad yet. In fact, you might not even be able to see it. It's hard to see rain on video unless it's really coming down hard. It's kind of what I expected. I think it's going to get a lot worse, but that's okay. We're good. We're warm enough. Couldn't quite get to the third falls today. I mean, I could have given it a red hot go, but it would have meant leaping over the stream, and it was flooding pretty good. So it wasn't really worth the risk of getting hurt, or even getting soaking wet, ending up in the stream for that matter. But that's okay, we'll just keep heading our way around. This actually is more of a fire access track. This isn't part of the track main, but it's a little extra challenge to go up. I normally take people up here if we're going to go and do some bigger hikes. And it kind of reminds me when I went to the Himalayas in 2006. Crikey, that's 11 years ago, hasn't that time gone? It reminded me that it's best to adopt a pace that you can maintain. Now, our guide spoke to us about this, because you know, you're doing hikes as you get higher and higher, maybe 8 hours, maybe 12 hours, reasonably long days, and at high altitude. And you've got to adopt a pace that you can maintain. So at the beginning of the day, our guide's like very steady, and I'm thinking, this is a piece of cake. How hard can it be? Now 4 hours later, he's leaving us like a steam train. So it's always been my prerogative, whether I'm doing a short hike or a long hike, to adopt a pace I'd probably do for maybe a 10-hour hike. Something nice and comfortable. And this is particularly relevant when going up steep climbs like this one. That's one foot in front of the other, that's it. Nothing more to it. We're up at the highest point pretty much in the park now, at the top of the fire access track. Just went up there for a bit of a look. We're not going to wait up here too long because the rain is really starting to come down, and it's always good to be on the move. So we'll head back down and get onto some slightly more protected paths, I think. That's a little bit more protected here. Still raining, but nowhere near as much as it was. You might well wonder what the best clothing to wear for days like today are if you want to get out regardless of the weather. For example, if you live in England, this would be more of a norm, I would imagine. And all I tend to wear when I'm actually moving, even today when it's cold and windy and wet, is this jacket, which is like a stretchy Gore-Tex of sorts. Had it for 11 years now, it's done me all right. And underneath, you might well think you have something warm and thick, but the answer is surprisingly very little. Just a thermal top, that's it. And I'm not really that cold. Sure, the hands are and the face can be a bit, but I'm fine. And in the car, I've got a 200 Polartec, which will be great for when I finish. In fact, that's normally the case, that it's not when you're hiking, when you're moving, it's when you stop and you rest. That's when you get cold very quickly. So it's good to have a warmer jacket for those times. Another little trick is perhaps getting something that's synthetic in nature, because synthetic materials, if it's a down jacket for example, they still retain some of their thermal properties when they're wet. Now goose down on the other hand is fantastic, nothing's warmer, but when it's wet it is useless, totally useless. I've got a down jacket, and I bought that a long time ago. The only time I tend to use it now is normally in Mount Gambier when we're diving, but it's more like early in the morning filling tanks, or late at night going to the pub, sitting around or camping. That's it. I never use it when I'm moving. And interestingly, even if you look at high altitude mountaineers on Everest for example, you very rarely see them below Camp 3, certainly below Camp 2, when they're not much more scantily clad. So maybe some thermal tops, maybe a fleece of sorts. It's not till they get up, getting closer to Camp 3, Camp 4, the South Pole, that they use their down suits, and when they're really at extremely high altitude. Well, we're on the way down now. This is the last slope. It's quite a steep one. In fact, normally this is the way we come up. Morialta is like a horseshoe shape, and we normally come up this way on the left, and then we go right around and come down on the right. But for a bit of variation, I thought I'd do it the other way today, and it was okay. So all I've got is about 10 minutes going downhill now. Piece of cake. And then I think I'm going to look for somewhere that has warm coffee. And that'll do us. Oh yeah, we are done. Back at the start. That was a damp experience, but not an altogether unsatisfying one. I don't know, there's something about being outside in the cold and the wet. It does actually make you feel a little bit alive. That's what I think anyway.